Good morning and welcome to the video on the Operations Training Task Manager. So today I want to show you how to get your own copy of the Task Manager and how to use all of its functions. So let's go ahead and jump right into it because I've got a lot to cover and I don't want this video to be too long. So if you can see here, we've got the Task Manager up. In the description below, I'm going to have a link directly to this task manager. So go ahead and click that link in the description below, and you will see the exact same screen that you are seeing right now. Once you're on here, the first thing we need to do is we need to make a copy of this and get this into our own Google Drive, right? So this is a Google Sheet, and we want to get this onto our own system versus the one that I own. So to do that, we're going to go to File, Make a Copy. You're going to get this pop up here. Just go ahead and remove this copy of. It's asking me for a copy of because I'm copying my own sheet, and it will do the same for you. But you don't have this version on your computer yet. So go ahead and do this. And we do want to make sure that we copy the scripts over. So there's a lot of functionality on this sheet. So you want to make sure that the script gets copied as well. So now that we've named it, we'll go ahead and click Make a Copy. And this is going to go ahead and pop up a new window tab, and it's going to be the new version that we just created that we own. So if I go back to this previous tab, you can see it says view only in the mode. I can't actually make any changes yet because it's not the one that I own. But once I've made a copy, here is the sheet and I have full edit capabilities. So now that I've got my own copy, I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we are on the sheet that we have full control over. So first thing to cover is the top menu here. So as you can see, we've got several blanks here where we can put information, and we've got several buttons. So let's just go through it in order. The task list option here is where we can select a template task list. So I've already created 5 templates for you. So these are already built out. I'll show you how to change the tasks on them later in the video, but you can go ahead and select one of these existing task lists. The project name. So the primary reason that we're going to use this task manager is for transaction management for real estate. So right, we're managing a lot of different tasks. Anytime we get a contract signed or we're moving through a process, you can really use this for any type of project, but that's primarily what this was developed for, was for real estate task management. The project name, when I'm starting a new task list, right? So let's say we did buyer accepted offer. The project name, I'm typically using an address and a client's name, right? So this helps me identify what this project is for. So if we had a new listing on 123 Main Street and the client's name was Chris, that would help me easily identify that project. We have a start date and end date. These fields, you can actually just double click and it's going to bring up a date range here, or you can just type it in directly if you'd like to do that. So that is, these are the fields, and we only need to use these whenever we're creating a new task list. So once we fill out fields, we've got all these different buttons. So this first button here, the green plus sign, is how we add a new task list or a list of tasks to our task manager. The number 1 here, when we click this, this is a functionality to add a single task. So sometimes we don't need to start a whole project, but we want to remind ourselves that there's some important thing that we need to do. So you can use this to add just a single task. We have the blue button here, which will sort all of our tasks. All of our tasks are going to have due dates. This will put everything in chronological order. We have the calendar icon here, the orange button. This will actually update the dates for all of the tasks in an existing task list. So for example, if we had a property that was under contract and it was due to close at the end of this month, but for whatever reason we need to extend it another month, we can use this button to change all of the dates of our tasks to correspond with the new due date. The yellow button here with the down arrow, this is the archive button. When we complete tasks, they will still be on our task manager, and the archive button helps clear those out for us. The red X is a delete task list button. It's unfortunate, but sometimes we do have deals that fall through, and we don't want to have to go through and manually find all those tasks to delete them. So this is a way to quickly delete all of the existing tasks or remaining tasks on a task list once we need to get rid of it. And the last button here is a template creator. This is what we will use whenever we want to create a new task list. So I'm going to go through all of these, but I want to give you a rundown of this top menu here. All of these buttons are they're just images, and they have scripts attached to them. So you'll actually click on them just like a button to run those scripts. But if for whatever reason you don't want to use those, all of these same functionalities are also in this task manager menu item up at the top. So we've got the add a single task, the task list, sorting, adjusting dates, deleting a task list, and archiving completed tasks. And then we have a couple of other functions here that I will cover a little bit later in the video. So that is how the menus work. Let's go ahead and run through the process of actually using this. So let's say we got a accepted offer, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that same project name that I had before. If I could type. And we're going to do a start date of today. So I'm recording this on August 10th. And we're going to say that our closing shall be, let's do September 6th. So you notice once I've got a task list selected and I've given it a project name and I've put a start date and end date, it gives us a total number of tasks that we're going to be adding and saying add 34 tasks. Yes, we would like to do that. So let's go ahead and hit the green plus button, and this is going to add all of our tasks. Oh, what is this? Okay, so when you copy a sheet from somebody else and it has scripts on it, you have to give authorization for the script to make changes. So the first time you use any of these buttons or use any of the menu items in that task manager menu, you're going to have this authorization prompt pop up on your screen. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And this is the email that I'm using. So you're just going to select your email address. And here it's just telling us what the authorization we're giving. So this script will view and manage spreadsheets that this application has been installed on. So the only thing that this script is able to edit is this sheet. So you don't have to worry about giving access to any of the other spreadsheets or deleting or anything like that. The only thing that the script will impact is this specific sheet. So go ahead and scroll down and hit allow. And that's going to give us the functionality to use all the scripts. So now that we have authorized the scripts, let's go ahead and hit that green plus button again to actually add the tasks in. And you can see it populated all the tasks for a buyer accepted offer. So we got the 34 tasks added here. A couple of things to note on the tasks list here itself. Any task that is due today, so I'm recording this on August 10th, any task that is due today is going to highlight in yellow. All future tasks will be in white, so you don't need to worry about those, but it's just a good visual indicator of what tasks need to be taken care of today. And if the task was actually past due, it'll turn red. So it's just letting you know, hey, you've got past due tasks, you want to make sure you take care of this. Or you can just adjust the date like you saw me do by double clicking and changing the date back. So we've added a task list. Now we want to do some work in here. So let's say you should have a tracking sheet where you're tracking all of your transactions. We want to add that to the tracking sheet. We completed that task. We just hit the check button, and that's going to highlight the task in green. So we've completed that. We want to verify our paperwork is complete. So check that task off. And let's say we got most of these done. All right, so we went ahead and completed all these tasks, and these are already built out for you. So you can change these to match how you do your own transactions in your market. But this is essentially how you will mark tasks completed. So we've added a task list. We've completed some tasks. Let's try another one of these buttons. Let's try adding a single task. So when you hit the 1, you're going to get a pop-up that asks you to name the task. Let's see, what do we want to do? We want to record, whoops, so we went full screen there. We want to record task or video. Do that. Now let's write in a description for the task that we're adding. So this is record video teaching to use task manager. So that is the task we want to add to our list. And when you do that, it's going to actually populate that task down here at the bottom. So So you can see we got the record video. It's a miscellaneous task because it's not assigned to any specific project. That is the description that we just typed in, and there is no list ID. I'll talk a little bit about this a little bit later. Now we've added a single task. We can do that as many times as we want, right? We just add another task if we'd like to do that, or you can always cancel or click out of it to cancel that process. So now that we've added a task list, we've done a single task, let's try sorting our tasks. So we've completed some things, we've added a new one. If we click this sort, it's going to move everything that's been completed to the bottom of the list, right? We don't need to see that anymore. So let's go ahead and sort those tasks to the bottom. So we cleared those out. We have these tasks that are still due from the task list we created, and the single task that was at the bottom of the sheet has moved up. So this sort button is putting everything in this column in chronological order for you. So I'll put it in chronological order, and it will put it in project order. So if you have several different tasks that are due on the same day, it'll group everything based on project, which is very convenient because you're usually trying to knock several things out on one project at a time. So we've added a task list, we've added a single task, we've done a sort. Now let's use this calendar icon. So this task list for the buyer closing, let's say for whatever reason, we need to, I'm sorry, buyer accepted offer, we need to extend this out, I don't know, 10 days. If we are on one of these tasks, we just need to be anywhere on that task list, on any cell that is related to that task list. And we hit the calendar icon, and we're going to get a pop-up that tells us to enter the number of days that we want to add or subtract from the task dates. So we have a little note here. It says negative numbers will make the tasks due sooner, right? So if we want to reduce the number of days, we can do that. And positive numbers will add days to all of the tasks. So let's say we need to add 30 days. We hit OK. That's going to take all of our tasks for 1, 2, 3 main Chris, and it added 30 days to them. So you remember we had started this task list for August 10th. Now our due dates, our earliest due dates are September 9th. So that's an easy way to update all of your tasks based on changes in your process for whatever reason. And let's go ahead and do that again. This time we'll do negative 30 to bring all of our tasks back to the way that they were. And now you can see everything is back to August 10th as the start date. So this is a really convenient way for updating all the tasks for an existing task list. So we've got that in place. Our next button that we have is the archive button. So we've got the yellow archive button. And this is a way to clear out these completed tasks. So I scroll down to the bottom and you can see those tasks that we completed. You hit the archive button, and it's going to ask to confirm first, do you want to remove all of these completed tasks? We're going to go ahead and hit yes. And what that does is this actually just moves all these tasks off the sheet. There's a hidden archive sheet that is storing all these tasks. So if you ever need to go back and find those, you can do that. And if you're not familiar with finding hidden sheets, all the hidden sheets are here. So you just use that hamburger menu to see that. And actually, let's just go ahead and pop open the archive so you can see. So all those completed tasks that we had have been moved to the archive sheet. Go ahead and hide that sheet again. I like to hide sheets. You don't have to do that. If you want to have all these visible, you can, and you can have a bunch of sheet tabs down here. I'll show you an example of, I actually use this for my current position. And I can show you just how many task templates I have there. It's quite a few. So we've now archived. The last thing here that we want to do on our task manager is delete a task list. So let's say this transaction fell through and we no longer need to complete these. So again, just like with the dates, we just need to have our cell activated on any one of these locations where the task list that we want to get rid of is. So you can see the task list ID for all these is the number 1. So it's easy for us to identify which one we want to get rid of. We go ahead and hit that red X this time, and it's going to ask, are you sure you want to delete all the tasks for 1, 2, 3 main Chris with the list ID of 1? And yes, we do want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. And that is going to delete all of those tasks. And you can see the only task we have left is to record the video, which I'm doing right now. So I'm going to have a nice clean task list by the end of today. So that is how we manage all of our tasks and use the actual task manager. Again, let's say we want to do a closing, just do some random letters there because I don't want to spend too much time typing. This again, and we're doing a closing, so we just have 14 tasks this time. We can add those tasks in, and you see all of them have been created and sorted by date. And you'll notice that the list ID increased by 1. So now we're on list ID 2. So it's going to continually count up, and you'll have an idea of how many task lists you've generated. And it's an easy way of identifying tasks, especially if you want to go back to your archive sheet and find something. Maybe you accidentally archived a task and you want to go back and check on that. So you can do that fairly easy. That is it for using the task manager. So this is a fantastic tool for keeping track of everything that needs to get done. The one thing I really love about using this type of system is all of my tasks for every project are in one location. I've used a lot of different task management systems, and there's just too much navigating, going around to different pages, different projects, trying to find all of the tasks that need to get done. This puts everything in one location, making it super easy for you to not forget anything and stay on top of all of your tasks. One feature that I do have that automatically gets implemented as you use some of the features, so you don't have to worry about changing, is the filters. So one thing that I'll do pretty frequently, let me just add another task list in here so you can see what this looks like. Just do another random set, and let's just pick some random dates here. So we're gonna do a new listing. We'll add that in here. And now you can see all of these tasks have been put in order. And since I did dated it earlier than today, we've got some past due tasks already. But one of the things that's really nice about having these filters automatically put in here is a lot of times when I start a new task, there's several things that I want to get knocked out at once, especially like an accepted offer. I usually have 10 things that I need to do on day one with an accepted offer. And by using these filters, I can go in and just select a single task list. And that way I can just work on that one task list and not have to worry about jumping around and finding other things. Sometimes I might even do a task that's due tomorrow or in a couple of days, just because I'm already working on that project and it's easy to go ahead and knock it out. So do use these filters to help you, especially as you get large task lists on here. So that's a nice feature that allows you to really work through all of your tasks. So that gives you the whole gist of the task manager. Now, the one remaining question we have are, where do all of these tasks come from? So I'd already built several templates, right? We've got 5 templates in here already. And to see these templates, right, we're just going to go to the hamburger menu down here so we can see all the sheets, and all these ones that are grayed out are hidden. I'll go ahead and bring up the new listing, and you can see here are all of the tasks that we have for a new listing. And the way this works, you just write in a task name. You can give it a note. This is optional. You don't have to have a note. I highly recommend having notes. It helps you remember what you need to do for each one of these tasks. It also helps, you may want to add an assistant in the future, or you may want to have somebody else know exactly what's going on with all these things. And this helps them understand what task needs to be completed. And sometimes I even put directions on how to complete the task in there. The next column we have is the number of days that we want to adjust. So we have 0 days before or after the start or end date. And what this allows me to do, or will allow you to do, is to put in the number of days that you want this task to be due before or after the start or end date. So you can see review new listing form for a new listing. Well, we want to do that on the very first day. So we put 0 days after the start date. So when I start the new listing task list and I put in today's date, the due date for reviewing the new listing form is always going to be due today. And this is how we make sure that we're putting things in chronological order, because we can't put dates here. We have to adjust things based on the start and end date that we set when we do the task manager to add a task list. So how we would do that, we'll just do an example, and we'll say, we'll just do example again. And let's do 1 day before the start date. Okay, so this would actually be due 1 day before the start date. You probably shouldn't have any tasks that are 1 day before the start date, but for some reason you might want to do that. But the main reason I wanted to show you this is there is one more button that we have on these templates, which is the sort button that we saw in the task manager, but it does something different here. This will actually put our tasks in chronological order the way that they should appear. So you see that example task that we just created has been moved to the top because chronologically this would be due on August 9th. If I were to start the task list today, August 10th, this would actually be due 1 day before. So put it at the front of the list where it should be. Now, if I were to do after end, and let's just do 100. So let's see what that's like. So this task would be due 100 days after the end of our task list. And I sort that, you're going to see it's going to move it all the way to the bottom down here. So this helps you organize your tasks as you create them. So you don't need to worry about making these things in chronological order. Just start making a list of everything that you need to do for your task list. And then once you have an idea of everything, every task or every step that you need to complete, you can make adjustments to the number of days before or after the start or end date. And then when you're finished, you just hit the sort to put everything in a nice clean order for you. So that is how the templates work. And if you want to change any of these, you can, right? So we can just come in and update the existing tasks and have these reflect the way that you manage transactions, or like I said, you can use this for anything really. It's not even real estate specific, but any task that you need to create, you can make these changes for your own market. And then there will be times where you want to create a new task list from scratch. So that is this last button here. This is the template button. And what happens when we click this? It's going to ask us to name the new template. Let's see, what should we do? We will do example again, just because that's easy. We hit OK. And this is actually going to create a new template. We hit OK, and it's going to bring that up for us. And you can see it's got the name that we just created, example. The sheet name is named example. So wherever we name the template, it's going to put that information in here. And we've got a nice clean slate where we can start adding a task name, putting in notes, and putting in the days before or after for finalizing this task list. I like to keep things hidden just to keep my sheet clean. So once I finish the task list, I usually hide the sheet. But you don't have to do that. Like I said, you can have all these visible if you'd like. It doesn't change the functionality at all. And all these purple, you can see it's got the purple color there. All these purple ones are templates. These red sheets, you can view these. These things you should really not touch. I would avoid making any changes on these. So the archive, you'd already seen that. That's where archives our tasks. We do have a back end. So this controls some of the task creation and templates. As you can see, the example that we just created got added here. So it's really important that we don't play with anything on this sheet. And then the last one we have is actually the template for creating our template. So it's the template of the template. And so it actually makes a copy of the sheet whenever we're creating a new template. So all of these tabs with the red, you want to avoid touching, just so you are aware of that. So that is how we use this task list. It's pretty easy to maintain. There's nothing too much to worry about. There are quite a few scripts. And so I encourage you to just start playing around with it. Don't worry about, creating fake lists or anything. It's pretty easy to delete stuff in here. And then to give you an idea of what an existing task list might look. So I use this in my current position. So I'm doing some commercial real estate right now. And I'm going to pop over to my sheet, which looks a little bit different. I've added some more functionality for you guys to use. But the sheet that I use, as you can see, some of the similar buttons, but doesn't quite have all the functionality of the new one. But it gives you an idea of what a real live example of this sheet and how I use it. So I've got tons of tasks for all these different projects, and it helps me stay on top of everything. And I've got over 100 tasks, I think. Yeah. We're getting pretty far down there. So you can see I've got 178 tasks that are still due. And you can see this one's out in 2030. So this is a reminder that somebody's lease is expiring in 2030. So we can reach out to them and find out their future plans. So hopefully I am still employed and doing this at that time. But it's a way for me to be reminded that some action needs to be taken way out in the future. And I even have some completed tasks here. So let me go ahead and archive those. It's probably going to take a second since I just switched over sheets, but there they go. And that gives you an idea. You see, I've got several past due tasks I need to get caught up on, which I'm actually going to do this weekend. But that gives you an idea of what an existing sheet looks like once you start using it yourself. And I've got quite a few templates, right? I've built out lots of templates. So in commercial, we do deal with landlord and tenant much more frequently than you would in residential real estate. But I even have residential buyer and seller checklists on here, even an onboarding checklist, right? So I use this for onboarding and offboarding new employees or new team members. So you can use this for all sorts of different things. But yeah, so that gives you an idea of what it would look like. But go ahead and download the sheet, start playing with it, and see if this is an improvement over your existing system. So I hope you enjoyed.